Hey there, MidlifeSass. That reminded me a little of Just Jack. If you know, you know. I'm Stevie. I'm the hostess of this podcast called MidlifeSass, and it's dedicated completely to women our age, or my age, respectfully. I wanted to share a little bit about my life in a very public forum so that women, did not feel like they were all by themselves. And that's how Midlife Sass was actually conceptualized. I felt like I was by myself. And when I started talking to other women my age, I found out I just wasn't. But people need to have something to relate to so they feel like they're not alone. And here we are. Here's what you can expect. You can expect me to go off the rails at least 312 times in every podcast because that's just who I am. I forget where I am and I have to circle back around, so just stay put. I might not even edit half of that crap out. You can expect me to share some personal stories, and I've been told not to, but how can I share with you that I know what you're going through if I don't tell you what I've gone through? I'm also going to talk about a couple of the tools that maybe helped me get through some of the stressful times. And then I'm going to talk about maybe a couple of opportunities to plug back in, not only with self-care, but maybe plug into your community, meeting some new friends, doing some new things. And then I want to talk about maybe what do we do next? In my very first episode, I really wanted to cover how it all started for me. And after talking to a bunch of women my age, I know I'm not alone in this, but a lot of them didn't think that they had any space to talk about it because they felt wrong for feeling abandoned. What do you do now that you've raised your children and it's just you and your partner, or just you by yourself? What do you do, and how do we deal with the feelings and the emotions that we're going through? You're not alone. And that's why I wanted to have this be our very first topic. Our very first topic is something that I feel like most of us can relate to. And it really hit me when my oldest decided to graduate from high school. How dare he grow up? How dare he get good grades and move out and do exactly what he was supposed to do exactly what I brought him up to do, go out and be a successful human being. The audacity of it all. What I didn't realize is that I raised him up to do successful things and be independent and go out and search the world over. What I didn't do is get me ready for it. And wow, it was a tough one. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. Did you know, and I didn't, I felt like I wasn't all by myself. I knew I couldn't be all by myself, but a surprising 60% of women feel a sense of loss or abandonment or confusion or loss of identity when their children grow up and move out of the household. Listen, it helps to know, kind of for me, that I wasn't alone in that. I don't know if you can relate to it, but sometimes, okay, here's a perfect example. When I go to the hospital or go to the doctor and I feel like I'm coughing a lot and I'm feeling a lot of symptoms, even the doctor giving it a name automatically makes me believe that there's hope and there's something that can be done about it. So for me to have found out that 60% of women struggle with this sense of identity loss, of abandonment, somehow magically, it didn't make me feel better to know that other women were hurting too, but it sure did make me feel better to know that I wasn't by myself. And jumping right into doing exactly what I was warned not to do, which was to share things that were personal to me. I will share with you that when my first son graduated from high school, I went into a deep depression because I was the numbskull that made a memories book for him so that when he graduated, he could have all the memories and little sayings and little things that meant a lot to us into a book in one local place. And man, every memory felt like just a piece of me was leaving by even putting it in that book. So I really did fall into a depression, and we will talk a little bit more and a little bit about the things that really worked for me to help pull me out of that. But I do want to share with you that some of the things I will be talking about in my podcast are going to be, could be triggering, and they could be super sensitive, but I want you to know you're not by yourself in this thing. We're all in it together. That's the great thing. So it's really important to recognize at this stage that we are at such a major crossroads in our lives, and it's normal. It's normal to feel like this. What is really important is to A, know that you're not by yourself. B, there are things that we can do to help transition us into that, what I like to call the second trimester of our life. And C, to reignite passions that we didn't know that we had forgotten about, or that were even out there because we've been so busy focusing on family. We've been taking care of everybody else and leaving very little time for ourselves, right? Am I right? So at this crossroads, it's really important to understand that our whole life is right in front of us. Let's talk about some of those things that we can do. An article from Oprah Winfrey talked about embracing your life where you are right now. And one of the really cool things that she spoke about, or the author spoke about in this article, was reigniting your passions to offer yourself some self-care. We hear all about it, and very often it's easy to overlook, especially when we're caught up in our heads about the abandonment issues or the confusion or the lack of identity, is to focus on what we can do. And one of those things is reigniting our passions, whether it is joining a Farkle group or a Bunko group just to meet new women. Man, I love me some Bunko. I'm not going to lie to you about it. Could be the booze, it could be the fun, it could be the conversation, it could be the competition. I went out and joined, I know this is going to sound terrible, or maybe it's going to sound like the most fun you've ever heard of, because I had a blast, but I joined a group of women that once a month we went on winery tours, and we spent all day together, and we drank wine and we listened to music, and we just leaned into each other and the time spent. You can start exercising, you can join a book group, you can plug back into the community, volunteering, you can get back into church. You can join a couple of those groups that you weren't able to do. How about a traveling group? Oh my gosh, did you see those things that where you could join a group of people on a singles cruise? Stop it. Now that sounds fantastic. Matter of fact, note to self, I'm going to look into a singles cruise. Listen, this next thing should seem really obvious to a lot of people, but to most of us, we've never really considered it. And you want to know why we didn't consider it? Because we don't want to be open, and we don't want to be vulnerable about feeling guilty about being abandoned. Okay, I felt a lot of guilt, and I felt really bad for feeling bad about being abandoned by my child for doing what he was trained to do. Going to therapy actually was really wonderful for me. He asked a bunch of questions. I was in a safe space. I answered his questions, and through talk therapy, I found my own answers. You can even find therapy online. Listen, your feelings are valid, and they are real, and it is okay to work them through with somebody else who's unbiased and supportive and encouraging, and get through every single issue that you are struggling with. It might take more than one appointment. It might, but it's okay. And your feelings are valid and should be encouraged to talk about and work through. You don't have to be by yourself. Okay, I think I've got everything here. Perfume. Oh, yeah. Carrying it around for. That smells awesome. What did I pick? Never mind, you're in a rush. Okay, so you got your handbag. Okay, it's the first date. Oh shoot! Okay,
So this is embarrassing. So I forgot to film an ending. Okay, look, here we are, midlife sass. There's nothing more enchanting than being 55 years old and wondering what comes next. And the good news is we're gonna figure it out together. Listen, I hope that you have got something out of the first segment. We've talked about it's normal to feel like you don't know what the heck's going on, and it's normal to have feelings of depression or betrayal, that might be a strong word, or abandonment over our life is changing. Like, what comes next? We've always known what comes next because we're planners and we're nurturers and we take care of everything. But look, this is going to be exciting. This is going to be great. And you want to know why? Because we have our whole life ahead of us to do whatever we want. And right now, I'm getting ready to go out on a date. Yep. And with our next segment, I'm going to talk about dating in my 50s. Oh my gosh, Midlife Sass, thank you so much for joining me, and I can't wait to meet with you on the next segment. I love your face. Mwah. Don't forget to subscribe and share. I love you. I mean it.